Hello, everybody. So I've been playing a lot of Halo lately, thinking about map design, and one thing I've realized as I've been playing a lot of these maps again is that they're quite beautiful. Um, the aesthetic work that was put into these maps is honestly sometimes quite breathtaking. And so I thought what we might do today is just go through some of the maps and kind of just appreciate them. So right now we're on Lockdown, which is the Halo 2 anniversary version of Lockout. Probably the most famous Halo map, I would say. Beloved. And yeah, I really like the frozen aesthetic. We are nestled in this gigantic cluster of frozen mountain tops. And we have this just kind of beautiful skybox here with these not quite God rays, but diffused rays breaking through the clouds. And you can hear the sound work. I'll just let it breathe for a second here. We get the hum of various alien mechanisms. Get the nice satisfying beam up sound. And we get these little flakes of snow, which you can actually see them follow camera, so they're actually built into the game to some extent, where it's a very clever parallax if not. And it gives you just this feeling that you're in this frozen tundra. Another map that is beloved from Halo 2 Anniversary is Zenith. And we can see right here we have this gorgeous skybox with all of these kind of twinkling lights. There's just so much going on up there. Now, sound work is good as always. We have the standard kind of metal footstep sound. Nothing special to write home about there, except when we go into the dirt, you can hear we get nice dirt footstep sounds. We get a maybe slightly different metal sound. It's hard to tell. We have these very, always beautiful aesthetic Forerunner technology spires here. They just have this nice symmetry about them, this almost kind of idea of some theoretical perfect engineering. And then as you back out from this, we get this just kind of slight humming ambiance, right? It's a little strange to think of wind up here, but yeah, you get this sort of beautiful nebula, sort of this ominous sound of gigantic crushing and crunching. Yeah. It's good stuff. The next one up is Shrine. Shrine is some kind of structure. It's very strange. It looks like Forerunner structures, but they're in stone instead of your typical metal. Well, let's just listen to some of the sound work here. We've got beautiful grass. We get nice stream sounds, more grass, more streams. But if we go up here, we'll see the real main attraction, which is just this incredible skybox. And we can take a second here to appreciate just the detail that goes into this. We have a flock of some unknown species of bird fly by. We get the tail end of the sound of them. We see the sun barely peeking up around the clouds, throwing off some kind of God rays. We see this beautiful mist rolling down the valley. And this foliage trying its best to grapple to the side of the mountain. And then interspersed, we just have all of these unbelievable machines as a juxtaposition to the nature surrounding us. There's a storm in the sky, but it's not quite here yet. It's off in the distance, and we get this beautiful aesthetic of just lightning somewhere forming, but not quite here. And we hear it just crackling in the background from time to time. Moving on now to Remnant. Remnant is a tiny island, very close-quartered map. Meant to be a real kind of fire ground where there's a handful of vehicles to move you around, and there's plenty of kind of dips for you to hide in. But for the most part, it's just fighting over this high ground. But that's not what we're here to see. We're here to talk about that view. And we do appear to be on a ring this time. And you can see right here, just through the clouds a little bit, there's this beautiful blue sky and a few stars to let you know that, things are probably okay off there. But over here, we have another kind of just immaculate painting, almost. And this time the lightning has formed fully and will occasionally strike in the background. So a really good kind of just interesting detail to this. You can see this kind of storm system forming right here, pulling the air in for something, hard to say what. Maybe there are some ships hiding up in there. Or maybe the ring's weather is just turbulent. It's hard to say. We have some little bird-like creatures, maybe bat-like creatures here. We even have the detail that they're hanging out on these rocks, sort of perched. Occasionally they fly away. We are in an inconceivably large forest. It's unclear kind of where this is exactly, but we're in some kind of a forerunner structure. And we can see that it's grown over with moss. It's probably been here a long, long time. And these giant trees have formed up around it. You can see that part of the structure is actually more or less melded into this particular tree. And as we look up, we can't see the tops, and we can just see the canopy. And this green haze moving through everything. Now, this is combined with some incredible sound work. So let's just listen to that for a second. We can hear kind of the foliage. We can hear us stomping on the ground in the grass. And you can see right here, even on the metal is different than the metal that makes up the other Forerunner structures. This, it's clearly like worn and covered in moss and peat. We even have little stain marks right here to make it feel even more lived in. It would be easy to have made a lot of this kind of symmetric, but these little details of putting the stain marks at kind of the junctions where you might expect water to pool really help to just bring this together. And we would be remiss not to point out that there are strange, different bird-like creatures here as well. But these are close enough for us to be able to see them and see how interesting they look. Yeah. Next up is the king of capture the flag maps, in my opinion.
Valhalla.
Now, I know there's also Ragnarok, but for my money, if it's between this or Blood Gulch, or even Beaver Creek, this map, for me, is the most fun. There's just so much to do and so many opportunities to outplay your opponents here. It's wide in all the places that you would want it to be wide, and narrow in all the places that you would want it to be narrow. Obviously, if you don't like big maps, this map is not for you. But as far as aesthetics go, yeah. For a game that is older than many children, I will take this water. This is very nice looking water. We have this very aesthetically appealing stream that runs through, and just barely kind of waist deep. We can hear the sounds of us clopping through it. These jagged rocks right here, I would argue, are the mid-doors of this map. They allow for just enough to be dangerous. And each of these towers will occasionally just shoot a giant beacon into the air, I have to assume. Which is such an interesting touch, and something I don't really see in the other maps. It's just the slightest indication that these are still functional and active and serving some purpose. Which I always love to see. It helps to kind of build the world out, make it feel more realistic. And I know it's just a multiplayer map, but I think that's what makes it even more impressive, is that they really didn't have to do any of this. Let's see how far up we can get here, so we can see what's actually above Valhalla. Luckily, Halo 3 does not punish you when you get out of bounds in Forge mode, so you can, within reason, get to wherever you want. And we can see that they actually took the time to explain to us where the water is coming from. It's coming from probably snow melting on top of this gigantic mountain range here, and the one we're currently on. And it just trickles down here and creates this stream, which opens into this gorgeous lake. The next one up is
Avalanche.
Which, if memory recalls, is sort of an improvement on a Halo 1 map. We are in a desolate, frozen tundra, and we've got some cloud cover here. It seems to indicate that there's a bad storm on the horizon, but we can't quite hear it yet, and it hasn't quite blotted out the sun yet, so it's actually quite bright out here. But this gives us an excuse to have these areas of light and dark, which serve a purpose when using these as multiplayer arenas, but also create this interesting kind of aesthetic. And little patches of ice, where we get little crinkling ice sounds, little cracking and shearing of ice. We also get these interesting little, like, heat geysers to sort of allude to us that there's something going on underground. And over here, if we look out, we can see that we're in the middle of the ocean, probably. And there's these glaciers, semi-broken and semi-melted. There's fog kind of coming out the side of whatever this is, this kind of peninsula, wherever we are, whatever this cliff face is, helping to kind of tie together that we're at some kind of a facility that's generating something or building something underground that's potentially melting some of this ice. We can hear a diversity of wind howling. Several different kind of ambient sounds are getting louder. Yeah. Yeah, listen to that. Yeah. And it really makes this place feel ominous. But also empty. Forsaken even. Going through here, there's some hallways and some technology. We're led into this room that has this aesthetic that I really like, where the alien power grid has been kind of adapted to use normal kind of mercury lamps. You can hear them buzzing and humming. Mercury or sodium or some kind of basic incandescent. And we can see they took the time to even put wiring up. And we can see the wiring sort of vaguely snakes down into here, implying that it's kind of just hooked up somewhere to one of these, whatever these are. Probably some kind of a power source for whatever this station or facility is. We have a similar structure here, and if we can go over here, and we just have this kind of wall of ice, this kind of interesting sort of dark, foreboding, kind of infinite hole. If you listen carefully, you can even hear something down there. Yeah. Very, very nice map. I think from the perspective of an actual multiplayer map, a lot of people are frustrated with this map because it is so wide, it is so open, the sniper rifle is very accessible, and it kind of just makes it a sniper's paradise, but I really just love the aesthetics of it. And I'm the kind of person that, for whatever reason, I kind of feel comfortable playing empty levels of video games, and this one feels very empty. And even though it feels kind of calm and serene, if we look over here, we can actually see that this is on the destroyed ring. We go over here and we can see the Aurora Borealis, and we can see that we're probably somewhere in one of the poles. We're on top of a frozen ice sheet in a weather research facility, I believe. And instead of the typical kind of... Oh, another thing that I really like about this is that, unlike a lot of levels in Halo that are alien technology beyond our comprehension, we just have human technology. This is just on Earth somewhere. That's actually probably quite old. And so instead of these kind of space lifts, we just have just normal fans. They make this fun kind of fan sound. We get these little signs like this. We get human aesthetic things in this level, unlike the others that are typically about aliens. If you look right here, you can see that ice crystals are forming on the walkway, and the yellow paint is starting to deteriorate. But we even get little reflections for the metal parts that are shining through. We get this really nice moon. And this really nice night sky box. But yeah, there's just all kinds of really nice details in here. We got core samples sitting around. We have little gadgets like this that do something. You get this really great wind sound. You can even see that they came up with an excuse for why the wind tunnels are here. They appear to be exhaust fans. And we get this really nice effect of some kind of an exhaust rolling out from the station. If we go over here to this panel, we can hear all kinds of things going on with it. All kinds of little details. Yeah, and just like little things, like just lampposts with a little on and off button here. Simple stuff that I know is just here so that you have proper lighting in one of the few night-based maps. But it still helps to just make everything feel real. You know, the windsock up here next to the moon. Yeah. We've moved on to Reach now, and a lot of the maps in Reach are good multiplayer maps, but I'm not sure they're exactly the aesthetic vibe that we're going for. One exception to that, of course, is Reflection. It appears to have a Zen Buddhist kind of aesthetic to it. We have koi ponds down here with lily pads. And we get this really, like, crisp, reflective wood. There's something very aesthetically appealing about this one in particular. And we have a lot of really nice sound work. We have a rolling water sound that is distinct from waterfall. This feels like it's an actual place that humans might go to. It doesn't feel like it's a military installation or a derelict warehouse like so many first-person shooter maps do. It feels like a real place that somebody is going to work at. And it also just feels like a really nice civil engineering project for the kind of people who are interested in that thing. Which I am. I thought about it a little bit more, and before we move to Halo 4, let's look at cold storage from Halo 3, actually. I would not say this is an aesthetically appealing map. In fact, it's kind of a nightmare. But nonetheless, I do respect the amount of effort that went into it. So, you're loaded up here into an ominous building underground where the Flood is outside of this. And for anybody who's not played Halo, the Flood are basically kind of a zombie-like, fungus-like manifestation, and so they're pretty scary. You can see here that we have, you know, these uncomfortable kind of suckers on the window. The centerpiece of this level is really just this room. It's not a very big level at all. Most of it is focused on this, and we get a lot of really nice kind of industrial, kind of alien technology sounds. We get these lights. And this really satisfying vroom as it goes up. And we kind of get the uncomfortable sight of this guy right here. It's clearly still alive and moving around. And yeah, you get the kind of vague sensation that it could break out at any minute. And we would be remiss not to bring up the eyeball. Sort of shaped like a big, you know, guilty spark big artificial intelligence, a Forerunner artificial intelligence. It follows your every movement when you enter this room. And this is just one of those details, like I've been saying, where there was no reason to do this. No, almost nobody's ever going to look up and notice that the light follows you. But what a cool idea, right? Moving on to Halo 4 now, we're going to look at Haven. This one in particular is a favorite among people who like Halo 4 maps. And there's a couple different reasons for that, I think. One is its design. I think its design is very good in terms of providing both a lot of cover as well as a lot of open space. But I think one of the big aesthetics is that you open up into this room with this giant avatar. We appear to just be in some kind of ethereal world. We can see there's a little bit of foliage over there under the cloud cover, but the rest of it, we appear to just be almost in a cloud. And you can even see when I switch to Forge mode here, the budget for this level is only 625 out of 10,000, so there's very little actually in the map. Then of course, as is typical with any of the Forerunner technology, it's impossibly large to comprehend. And difficult to ascertain exactly what its form or its function is. It kind of gives you this idea that we've found this place and we're trying to figure it out and study it and understand it. Skyline is a map that does not really need explanation. It is a skyline. And we can see right here that we have these almost kind of 2.5D smoke towers, which make the level look kind of like Duke Nukem. But other than that, the architecture is really nice. It seems to be kind of like a human city in the future. And this is some kind of maybe domicile, some kind of apartment complex. We have helicopters coming and going. We can hear the sound of the helicopters coming and going, which really adds to the feeling that this is a lived-in place. If we look off in the distance, we can see that there are lights that flicker on and off, which give the impression that those are real places off in the distance. And we do have this really interesting skybox here, where we get to see just enough of a very close-looking moon. Next up we have Solace. We'll start by just hearing the sound of us trudging through mud. Yeah, just really nice aesthetically. There's kind of an ambience in the background. A little bit of whirling and humming from a machine. We get this nice kind of green aesthetic. Typically Forerunner technology is blue. And in the back spawn point here for red is this really nice kind of lush rock with foliage and a tiny stream trickling down to the bottom here. If we look down there, I don't believe we can get down there.
Suicide!
No, we cannot. Look at the detail of all of the grass that's attempting to overtake this structure. And also we have the UNSC kind of briefcases. But really what takes the cake for this, as usual, is the skybox. Here, it appears that we are one of several installations shooting a laser. We can see this beautiful skybox with these pink, fluffy clouds, probably reflections from the laser. We see star cover in the background, We have some interesting water physics here, which is distinct and different from the others, and we just see this incredible reflection on it of this horrible thing happening. Something about the eerie quietness juxtaposed with this. I think that's really what makes a lot of these maps so interesting. Is that when you're over here, just shooting at each other, you're kind of just meant to not even notice this. I forgot one from Reach as well that we should probably look at. This is Breakpoint. And Breakpoint's interesting because it has these built-in... it has these built-in mines, which we want to try to avoid. Wish I could destroy the ship or turn it off in some way so that we could get a better feel for the ambience. The ambiance. But, yeah, I can't. Even in Forge mode, I can't delete this. It's built into the level somehow. But that doesn't stop us from appreciating this level's design and its skybox. But these mines mine. We can see we're looking over some impossibly huge vista. Just mountains for miles and miles and miles. I do the thing I always do that I typically do. I'm looking for a halo ring and I don't see one, so it's hard to say if we're on a halo ring, but probably not. We do appear to have hooked into some kind of a forerunner structure. You can see we've converted it for our own means and our own use cases, maybe. We can see this really interesting sort of maybe heat or fog rolling out of this mechanism, whatever it is. Probably the same thing as with Avalanche, where we're melting the snow, maybe? I love when they put the crackling of the lightning in the levels. Last, but certainly not least, is Last Resort. Last Resort is a map very similar to previous maps like Zanzibar. And yeah, Last Resort is kind of meant to be a structure built into some kind of island. The water is calm, which helps it to be mostly convincing. You can see that they've added a little bit of white froth and foam at the bottom here, which really helps from a distance to sell this idea that this is, you know, the edge of some shoreline. We have this really nice sand sound, which you can even hear it convert to the dirt sound, and we can even hear us walking through shrub. We appear to be in some kind of a structure. I've always really loved this about both these maps. Is just this feeling of some ancient structure, some ancient human structure. Not alien, just, you know, just maybe antiquity. You can see off in the distance, there's another one here. That's about all there is to it, but you can see it's similar to the one here. And we seem to be in a cluster of islands with several of these different structures. And so this new facility, which looks to probably be some kind of a processing or refining facility, maybe even just an electrical facility. This might be some kind of a turbine, maybe a giant wind turbine, is built into the side of this old fortress. We get this great sound of this wheel churning. We hear the metal creaking. get a different, more muted grating sound. We get the sound of this some kind of diesel or gas engine humming along. And then we get this machine back here, which I imagine is some kind of a generator, turbine. I've always wanted to be able to get back there, but even in Forge, there's really no way to get into it. I don't even know what I would do in there. There's literally nothing to do. I know that under it is just an empty floor with no real clipping. But that doesn't stop me from wanting it anyway. We get the hum of probably a transformer here. This level even has an aesthetic that I'm not sure I've seen on any other level. Maybe I'm missing something, but... oh, hang on. You can actually go up here, and we can even see the text on this. Throw switch to activate the security gate. And then when we click it... huzzah! The gate goes down. The skybox, interestingly, on this, at least from the ocean, it's quite beautiful. We have these nice poofy clouds sort of swirling. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to take some time to appreciate a few maps. Sorry if we didn't get around to some maps that are your personal favorites. Let me know. There's a lot of maps like the Narrows here that are real beautiful, but are mostly just this one bridge, and so kind of have a limited amount of stuff to talk about. So yeah, that's about it. If you've got a particular map that you find to be the most aesthetically appealing, leave it in the comments section, and maybe we'll do